Hey y'all, so this is going to be part 2 of this 5-part series. I've already covered the history and rolling stock of BART in my last video, which I'll link up top. This vid is going to be talking about the spur between Lake Merritt in Oakland and Berryessa in San Jose, as well as the spur from the Bayfair transfer station all the way to Dublin-Pleasanton. Of course, first and foremost, I want to give my Patreon sponsors a quick shout out for their continuous and just amazing support. So thank you to Dan Ribashad Carew, Tony Stunts, Generic GT, Geezer Windbag, Oleg, Jake Brabick, Carlos DeLuca, Flatlander, and Ped Dispenser. You guys are amazing, and I would not be able to do this content without you guys, so thank you. So first off, we're going to start from the south at the Berryessa station and work our way up towards Lake Merritt in Oakland. That'll be the first spur. The second spur will be from the Bayfair transfer station along the 580 right-of-way, and then it'll end at the Dublin-Pleasanton station. So here at Berryessa, we are on the current southernmost terminus of the entire BART system, and the city of San Jose's only BART station as of 2024. The extension, which I'll talk about later, will go even further south from the station into Santa Clara. This station and its parking lot used to be on the former land of the still existing San Jose Flea Market, which is a huge outdoor market important to the Berryessa community's economy. For this reason, I hope that any future developments around the station embrace the flea market rather than chip at it. Unfortunately though, the San Jose City Council in 2021 voted to add 900 residential units in place of the current flea market space, leaving about a third of the present space to vendors in what they will call an urban market space. Besides this though, there are already lots of mixed-use mid-rise apartments around here, such as the Platform, and some businesses are even opening up at street level, like the excellent Araujo's Mexican Grill, and a couple of salons. It's a bit of a walk to the Platform, to be completely fair, and I wish there wasn't so much surface parking here at the station, but it's better than no development at all. Additionally, there are plans for a 100% affordable housing development, which will be 10 stories and provide well over 100 units in 2026. Finally, a proposal exists to turn this present industrial lot into 850 units of housing. Here we are at our first intermodal station at Milpitas, a subterranean work of art complete with stained glass. To access the VTA light rail platform, you can walk upstairs to a pedestrian bridge across the Great Mall Parkway. If you think that the Berryessa BART station has TOD, then you haven't seen anything yet. I've touched on many of these developments in my VTA video, like The Edge, Lantana, Aspire, Eleanor, and just so many more either under construction or currently housing people. And this isn't accidental. These developments were part of the Milpitas' Metro Area Specific Plan, which aims to redevelop a bunch of land around the station, even including the Great Mall. So come visit in about 30 years and the Great Mall might turn into some type of Santana Road development with retail on the bottom and housing built on top. It's, in my opinion, a drastic but a welcome change for the area, and I am just completely on board. The area around the Warm Spring station is defined by a lot of nearby construction, so please give the station just some more time. The cool pedestrian bridge above the rails connects the station to the present Aya and Ninovia apartments on its west. On the station's right, you have the Emerson Park, Canyon Flats, and the Hackey developments. In the district's master plan, about 2,600 units are to be built in an area of 110 acres, which will be accompanied by 700,000 square feet of retail, entertainment, and office space. The developments on the west side of the station will expand themselves further, bordering the main Tesla factory on its south. And I gotta admit, this park is just an excellent and beautiful addition to this area too. After the Warm Spring station, it's tunnel time once more underneath Lake Elizabeth in Fremont Central Park. Fremont was the original southern terminus of BART until 2018 when Warm Springs opened up. As a San Jose native, I'm glad I don't have to make my way up to Fremont to take BART anymore. I'm once again reminding people that this station is not to be confused with the Amtrak Ace Fremont Centerville station about a mile away. Once again, I wish this BART station was intermodal. Because the station is older, there are more traditional medium density homes around here, such as the Lake Point, Presidio, Mission Peaks, and Watermark to name a few. I just wish there wasn't so much surface parking around here. I really tried my hardest, but I surprisingly couldn't find any sort of long-term land use plan for this station. And this is a shame because Fremont has a lot of ridership, so I think that building some 5/1s on ample parking lot land would be productive and could complement these older medium density apartments that were built after the 1970s, around the 80s and 90s. Also, these offices take up way too much parking and have got to densify. Union City isn't a city that I know as having very urban land use practices, but this station has way better land use than Fremont. The station center apartments are a short walk from the center of the platform, separated by a very nice landscaped courtyard. On the other side of the station are the Avalon apartments. The only issue is, as of now, there's no way to get to the station for a pedestrian unless you go all the way around onto Dakota Road. I'm not sure why they built housing that's marketed as being transit friendly before making it accessible from the platform. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Thankfully, Union City does have a station area specific plan addressing this concern, paving a pathway to the station center apartments. In addition, the empty dirt lots up to the suburban subdivision will be full and plenty of 5-story mixed-use apartments and townhomes. The plan will add 4,000 units to the market, 15% of which will be designated as affordable, with a population increase of about 9,000 additional people, which is pretty significant for the smaller Union City. South Hayward is surrounded by a lot of both single and multi-family residences. Present multifamily units exist at the Cadence Apartments and Metro 655, and there exists a neighborhood at the station's west. Though pedestrian bridges to the communities are left to be desired, and I think that they would surely boost ridership and that they should be built relatively soon. Although there are 151 new affordable units at the Altamira that are coming to the blueprint just next to the Cadence Apartments. There's a lot more life around Hayward than its southern counterpart, but a lot is to be desired north of the platform, and this is evident by empty lots. The station is a stone's throw away from Hayward City Center at the B Street corridor that's home to lots of local businesses. The City Walk and the Atherton Apartments are decently compact and are some great examples of infill development that other cities should take note of, especially South Hayward. I know South Hayward is part of Hayward, so I'm not sure why it's like that as well. Hayward plans for more dense apartments, calling for an additional 3,430 units on top of the already existing 2,290 units in downtown, and of course it calls for about 2 million square feet of commercial space for uses including retail, office, and education. Bayfair is the first transfer station between BART lines. Also serving this platform is a line between Daly City and the city of Dublin, which we will discuss after this spur. The 1960s is ever clearer though in the area around this station. This is clear in the sprawl here that caters heavily to the motorist that lives in a single family home. BART, after all, was built to serve the commuters who lived in the suburbs and went to work in the cities of SF and Oakland. This Bayfair shopping center is for sure a sign of the times, having been disappearing for quite some time now, and most recently the Macy's here announced that its closure. San Leandro thankfully has a plan to tear the structure down and create smaller city blocks for mixed use. There are some different scenarios, but I'm a proponent of just densifying as much of this area as possible. Also, side note, I don't know what Silicon Valley chud put an autonomous vehicle section in the area plan.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
This plan is in a conceptual stage, but the city of Hayward wants to adopt a 2035 BART TOD plan that generally calls for higher density housing around its stations. One of the more recent developments around San Leandro is a new 1 million square foot tech campus west of the station. East of the platform you have the Marea Alta and the Pacific Plaza apartments, and the San Leandro Plaza shopping center about a couple of blocks away. It's a far cry from the emptiness of the suburbia around the Bayfair station, but nonetheless the city of San Leandro recognizes there's a lot to do around here, such as maybe rezoning some industrial areas to the station's west. The general TOD plan for the city calls for a minimum of 80 units per acre of mixed use directly around the BART station, and get this, no height limit at all. So you could see, kind of like the Metro Town development in Vancouver, just a bunch of skyscrapers appear out of nowhere, and that would be the dream. Alright, welcome to the town, or Oakland for the transplants here. This is another transfer station to the Oakland Airport Connector, an automated people mover closer to the city's airport. I plan to do a separate video on the system because it's an interesting gadget bond, and there's a lot to unpack with this specific system, but that will be for a later video. Coliseum Station also serves as an intermodal station to Amtrak, with that platform accessible by a pedestrian bridge west of the BART platform. There are some decent communities northeast of the station surrounding the Coliseum Gardens apartment, like the Coliseum Connections apartment complex, but the land use immediately around the station is pretty bad. This doesn't mean that it doesn't have potential though. All 3 sports teams will have left, with the A's moving out after the 2024 season. With no teams, the city must have plans to redevelop this entire plot of land. I, for one, am a proponent of tearing down these aging concrete structures with tons of potential for redevelopment at the bulldozing site. Thankfully, the city plans to redevelop this 5+ million square feet of entertainment space into a vibrant neighborhood. Long story short, they want to fill in the space up to the bay with lots of mixed-use housing, offices, hotels, and even a new arena and an entertainment district to supplement the to-be demolished Oakland Arena. Now, there aren't plans to demolish the Oakland Arena just yet, but I think there should be. It calls for 4,000 units in the vicinity of the station, comprising the sites of the arena and the Coliseum, and an additional 1,750 units to be added closer to the waterfront past Highway 880. So the Fruitvale area is consciously densifying while retaining a lot of the community's character. Right now you have the Avenida de la Fuente apartments, part of the expansive and mixed-use Fruitvale Transit Village. Don't forget to check out this great public plaza. I think more Bay Area cities should follow Fruitvale's lead. Casa Arabella too is great with 94 units, with a lot of them below market rate. Overall, I think that Fruitvale is doing it right. It's adding housing units that don't displace current residents and that have affordable rates to those whose incomes cannot support expensive market rate housing. And we're talking about market rate housing in the Bay Area, the region in this country with the most dire housing shortage. Here at Lake Merritt, we're at the last stop of Spur 1, and we're just east of downtown Oakland at an underground station. Around here you have the Laney College as well as the Oakland Museum of California and Oakland's Chinatown. Here though, you don't really feel like you're near the downtown of a large city. What's hindering this though is that the station's plaza is just too big for its own good. Like, why do we need this much space for what's essentially some bike racks, some escalators, and an elevator? Thankfully, new buildings will spring up around here. You got a 360 unit tower, a 100 unit tower, as well as a new office building to be built around this area. The city's overall plan for this area calls for just under 5,000 new units in the Lake Merritt area. So here we are at Spur 2 from Bayfair to Dublin-Pleasanton. So east of Bayfair, the line splits at around Highway 238 and runs in the median of 238 and the 580 eventually. And you could see my VTA video for my thoughts on stations in highway medians. Spoiler alert, they're very negative. Most of Castro Valley consists of single-family housing, and the only form of dense apartments nearby are on the park and ride lot just a little bit to the station's north. Castro Valley also lacks just a dense central business district or like a downtown, and the city's center consists of a series of strip malls surrounding a wide arterial road on Castro Valley Boulevard. The city kind of has an area plan to try to somewhat improve their situation, but it's very vague. And get this, they also want to maintain the same amount of parking around the station, so even if Castro Valley were to densify, they're nonetheless going to get a brand new parking garage, which is just baloney, honestly. Unlike its nimbier neighbor to the west, I'm actually glad that Dublin embraces new development and doesn't push it away. You have the Connolly, Astor, and the Avalon apartments that make up a vibrant community north of the station that's accessible via a pedestrian bridge. On the station's south, you have office buildings reminiscent of the 1990s in a sea of asphalt, and it's pretty boring. Outside of these two areas that I'm talking about, Dublin is 90% a suburban sprawl hellscape and a loosely connected network of HOAs. Sorry, I'm just being honest. And finally, we're at the terminus of the spur in Dublin, where it's a little bit better than West Dublin. The well-integrated Avalon Dublin apartment complex hugs the triangular street arrangement right by the bus plaza and the station's street-level entrance. There are tons of apartments north of the Avalon too, like 5210, Elan, and Dublin Station, that are located on very narrow pedestrian-friendly streets that are part of a grid. South of the station, you have very little mixed-use developments, and a bunch of monotonous office parks, car dealerships, and a hospital. It's pretty poor land use like at West Dublin. However, the Dublin crossing plan calls for a complete overhaul of this previously empty land north of the station, about a half-mile away from BART. Overall, the plan calls for about 1,995 overall units on 189 acres. I just wish that these single-family detached homes weren't a part of this big plan. Again, why are we building in the year of our Lord 2024 single-family housing? It makes no sense. This is the end of the second video, and we've wrapped up the BART spurs in the South Bay and the East Bay from San Jose to Oakland to Dublin. Stick around for this series as we'll dive into the peninsula in the next video for part 3. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future content, to support me on Patreon, and to join the Discord, which is going pretty strong. And I love talking with you guys about transit and politics and stuff. So thank you so much if you've made it this far, and I'll see you next time.